Okay, Josh McDaniels joins us now. We'll start with Mike Giardi and then go to Matt Vatour.
Afternoon, Josh.
Good afternoon.
Just curious, after looking at the tape, how you felt about Brian's performance, and just to sort of double down on that, he mentioned the conversation you guys had before the final play of the first half there when he took the sack. If you could just sort of kind of go through what you were telling him.
Yeah, look, I thought all the guys competed hard. I think that was obvious. But, at the end of the day, our job offensively is to score points and take care of the ball. And obviously we didn't do a very good job of that last night. So that's my responsibility. And certainly the quarterbacks, both of them that played, they did some things that were positive, and then they made some plays that we're going to have to learn from and correct. So I think we could say that about everybody at this point. And then the end of the second quarter, we have to be more aware of the scenario and the situation. It's a pretty simple situation for us. No timeouts remaining. You either throw it, into the end zone or throw it away and give ourselves an opportunity to go ahead and kick the field goal and attempt to tie the game. So, that was an unfortunate situation. I know we'll learn from that, and hopefully we can be better moving forward in those scenarios.
Next, we'll go to Matt Vatour and then Mike Reese.
Josh, how flexible do you have to make a game plan when you don't know if Cam can play in a short week going into Denver? How do you have to build it almost two game plans, one that would work for Cam, or is it kind of try to create a one size fits all based on whoever's going to be the quarterback?
No, I think you just you try to go in there and put together a game plan with your personnel in mind, to put around the quarterback, whichever one of them it is. And if there's some question marks, which this is the world we live in all year long, we have players that are questionable or have an injury consideration that we have to deal with all year at all positions. So that's not an abnormality for us. There's things that you put in the game plan every week that you either take out towards the end of the week or maybe you add a little bit more. And sometimes I think that can be overblown in terms of how difficult that is for these professional athletes to handle that. They do a really good job of it. So if we're in a scenario where we're not quite sure at the very beginning of the week, then you just put the game plan in broad enough to accommodate the potential scenarios you could face. And I think the other thing we're missing here is that Cam runs our offense. He doesn't just run a Cam offense, so Cam's done a good job of running our offense all year. That's what he's capable of doing. He's done it for a long time. There's not a whole lot that he can't do, and there's certain things that he can do that other guys can't, but those are easy to move in or out of the game plan if we need to.
Next up, Mike Reese and then Chris Ryan.
Hey, Josh, I want to ask you about Jarrett Stidham and just sort of what are some of the things that you've seen from him this year that he's improved on from last year?
Well, I think he's in his second year, so he has an understanding of the defense that he did not have last year when he first got here. How to handle the protections, understanding where his issues may be. I think that's always a difficult thing for a rookie. You're so ingrained in learning what you're supposed to do on your side of the ball, but at the quarterback position, so much of that also includes what the defense is doing to you. So I think he's been able to try to, grasp a little bit more of that as we've gone on. Again, without the off season and ability to practice, I think, every young player, miss those opportunities. So, he made the most of the opportunities he had in training camp, and, he'll learn from last night's film as well. So, there's this, quarterback is a never ending process. Every quarterback that I've ever coached or ever known is always seeking ways to improve and get better. And our quarterbacks are no different. They're all working hard at that, trying to do that. Jarrett made some good plays and good decisions last night, and then there's some plays that we're going to be able to correct and learn from, and hopefully we can make progress coming off of this game.
Next up, Chris Ryan, then Evan Lazar.
Hey, Josh. Jason McCourty was telling a story last week about James White and how he talked to you about why White never seems to get yelled at during practice, and that White would always react to and learn from circumstances early in the year and carry it with him throughout the course of the season. So, how important is it to have somebody like James White as a part of your offense? And B, what did it mean to you guys to see him come back last night?
Yeah, James is a special individual, and he was that way when he got here, and I think that's a tribute to the way his parents raised him and the kind of human being he is, and he's developed into. He's a very mature young man, that he's very unselfish. He's always been one of the finest teammates that I will ever coach. And he's always prepared to do his job very well. And he has the rare ability to listen to something in a meeting and then perform it exactly that way on the field. And he's, like I said, he's been able to do that really his whole career here. So, James doesn't get yelled at on the practice field because James basically does his job the right way when he's out there every snap. And like I said, it's a tribute to the young man and the way that he was raised. And it meant a lot to have him back here. I know there's a lot of us that were hurting for him because in our profession, we spend a lot of time together and we're close with these guys. And we have a pretty close-knit group here, coaches and players, and our whole organization is like that. And to see one of our guys go through that, none of us would wish that on anybody. But I know there's a lot of guys that were grieving with him and for him, and there's a lot of guys that are supporting him and helping him try to get through this the best we can. And to have him come back and perform well in the snaps that he was out there and get back at practice, I think that's all part of the process that he's going to go through, and we'll all be there to support him. I told my kids last week if they grew up to be like James White, then me and their mother would have done a good job, and I think that's one of the best compliments we could say about him.
You also mentioned that this is not a Cam Newton offense. This is a Patriots offense with Cam Newton in it. Have there been particular adaptations, though, to his skill set from within this offense, or has he mostly just been running a quote-unquote Patriots offense?
No, of course. The Patriots I don't even know. The Patriots offense is whatever fits the personnel we have the best. So, I mean, I don't even. Last time I looked at our playbook would probably be 7 or 8 years ago. So, it's whatever our personnel does well and can do well. That's what we try to do. So, Cam is a different player than what we've had at that position, and so we try to do things that fit Cam. But there's certainly things in the past that we've done before that Cam does well as well. So, it's always a conglomeration of scheme that fits the personnel. That's basically what we try to do. And then you marry it up against the team that you're playing, the personnel that they have, and the scheme that they use. So it's a process we go through each week. And hopefully we can put together a good game plan here for Denver. It's an opponent we don't know very well, with some really disruptive players at all three levels. And we have our work cut out for us here in a short week.
Thanks, Josh.
Yep.
Next, we'll go to Evan Lazar and then Tara Sullivan.
Hey, Josh, not sure how much preparation you've done so far for Denver, but I know you've gone up against Coach Fangio in the past, and I was just wondering, what kind of defense he does a lot of rotations, it seems like, on the back end that can confuse you guys, and what kind of things he does that trouble you guys a lot.
Yep. Coach Fangio is one of the finest coaches in our league, and it's always a great challenge to compete against him. Coach Donatel, his coordinator, was with me in Denver. I know Ed very well. They do a tremendous job with this defense, with their whole unit. You're not going to get one thing for too long. They mix it up quite a bit in terms of what they show you in the deep part of the field. They disguise well. They mix in different types of pressure packages based on the opponent that they're playing. They play, a lot of different things from their base defense. They play a lot of different things from their sub defense. And then when you get to third down and red zone, those things are, again, different than some of the things you might see on early downs too. So the thing that through all that is most impressive to me, and has always been this way when we've competed against Coach Fangio's units, is how well they do it all. And they're fundamentally sound. They very rarely give up a big play, which forces you to have to move the ball and execute a number of snaps in a row to drive the ball and get it down into the red zone. And then they don't give up a lot of cheap touchdowns. And so that's a tribute to the way they're coached, the way they prepare their guys, and the way they get them to play on Sundays. So big challenge for us, really getting familiar with them. Difficult team to prepare for. Do a lot of things well. Got a lot of disruptive players. I mean, Shelby Harris, you turn the film on and he just pops right off of it. Bradley Chubb, Justin Simmons, Jewel Jackson. I mean, the linebackers are their leading tacklers inside. They got a lot of guys in there that can do a lot of things and create a lot of negative situations. So we're hard at work right now, getting ready for them and preparing for tomorrow's workday.
It's obviously much different personnel, but is it still the same system as the 2018 Bears that you guys went up against, or is this a totally different thing here now?
Not totally different. I mean, it's in the same family. It's just, again, coach uses his players, the best way that they should be used, so if he's got linebackers that should rush, he rushes them. If he's got linebackers that should cover, he covers with them. If he's got good blitzers inside, then he blitzes the inside linebackers. If he's got some corners that play a little bit better in man coverage, then he might play more man. So he's got the variety available to him to use his players however he sees fit. And so there's some things that are similar for sure relative to the last time we coached against them, but each game's different. Our team's different, certainly. Their team's different. The personnel's different. We got to get familiar with them in a hurry.
Thanks, Josh.
And we'll go to Tara Sullivan and then last to Greg Bedard.
Hi, Josh. Thank you.
Yeah.
Josh, I wanted to ask if you wouldn't mind, on a personal standpoint, how do you feel about how the protocols have gone? I know you've gone public with having asthma, which we know is one of those conditions, they warn about being dangerous with this. How do you feel about it? Do you have concerns about being around Cam at some point again? And do you feel like protocols are protecting you? Just a little bit of your personal experience, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, I do have asthma. And, I think we're all sensitive to the potential effects that the virus could have on you. I think we're trying to do everything we can do within our power to certainly protect ourselves and one another. And I'll trust the medical people, in terms of what they're telling us and telling me about all of those different things relative to coming back into, a meeting room or closer contact with somebody that has had it before. I have people outside of the football organization that I know and that our families are familiar with that have had it as well. And I understand, some of the things that can go on there. So I'm just going to try to do everything I can do to protect myself and our staff and our players and everybody here, within what they're telling us to do. I think they've really done a good job of communicating what they expect from us, and it's our job to uphold our end of the bargain. And there's nothing more important than the health and safety of the people in the building. So, I'll be excited to work with him when he's back, and look forward to seeing him when he's back and clear.
Thank you.
Yep.
And last question to Greg Bedard.
Hey, Josh. I wanted to ask you about the end of the first half again. With 39 seconds left, you guys had one timeout, and you came out with Harris, who doesn't have much experience, and the fullback.
Mm-hmm.
Were you going to be in a tough spot if you had to keep going? Like, were you going to have to take a timeout to change personnel if you were going for a touchdown, or do you have any regrets about sort of the way that transpired the last 39 seconds?
Yeah, I mean, I always have regret. I mean, I always wish we could score, and so no matter what I called or didn't call, the goal is to put points on the board and not give the ball back to Kansas City. I thought we did a decent job of getting it down there and trying to use some clock in doing so. And I knew what the situation was, and we had a certain combination of plays available to us there, where we were going to attempt to try to score. That's not what happened, obviously, and so we ended up having to use the last timeout. And then from there, it's the same situation. That we practice when you have no timeouts. You put a grouping in there. You feel like you have plays that you can run quickly to the line of scrimmage and be able to handle those scenarios. It's just there's always I'm never gonna second guess our guys in terms of the plays they make or the decisions that they make under pressure. I know we all feel like we could have done a better job of helping ourselves in that situation, and I wish I certainly would have done a better job helping our team put points on the board at the end of the half.
Thanks, Josh.
Okay, we'll end it there. Thank you very much, Josh.